Hi, welcome to Fireflies Me Podcast. This is episode 1. I'm going to do this as long as it is relevant and exciting and lights you up, lights me up, all of the things. But I got inspired by Fireflies this last month because of a couple different reasons, and I'm going to share some of those reasons with you. But I want this to be not just a give of my experience, but also a way that you can really notice where you are on automatic around life, where you are just doing because you don't know anything different, where you are pushing, shoving, trying to make stuff happen because you think that's the only way. And we're going to just have this podcast as an opportunity to slow down, to take a breath, and to notice where we are on that automatic so that we can shift into being really intentional, really thoughtful, really mindful of why. Why am I choosing what I'm choosing? I had a moment like this last night, actually. It sounds kind of like a silly example, but some of you will really get this. I was so awake and alive last night, so inspired, so lit up, so creative. Normally I go to bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock. I know, I'm an old woman. And my sister and I were having a lot of fun watching a TV show, and she looked at me. It was quarter to 10, and she said, "Hey, do you want to watch the last episode?" And I got to pause and ask myself, okay, if I stay up late, then maybe when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to be more groggy, or I'm going to feel tired. I'm going to have to sleep in, and then I'm going to be behind on my day. That's happened before. Okay, well, I could totally go to bed now and then, maybe sleep longer and wake up and feel refreshed. But I also know myself, and I know that I'm wired and excited and lit up and so in the zone. And I also know that I won't be able to sleep if I'm here in this energy right now. So I got to have that pause and notice before I said yes and be like, okay, I'm actually going to stay up another 45 minutes because I am in this place that I probably am not going to be able to sleep. And I'm actually going to get more rest by finishing what I'm finishing and getting these thoughts out on paper and getting these designs out on Canva and getting in the space that I'm in. I'm going to actually sleep better by being in that place. Now, this may seem like a really silly example to some of you. That's okay. My life is filled with really simple and silly real life examples of getting to pause and notice before saying yes, before saying no, and everything in between. And so, what we're going to talk about today is the highs, the lows, and how to learn from them, and how we get to the highs, how we get to the lows, what gets us there, and then what actually shifts us in a real, genuine way, not in a fake, artificial, forced way, but in a real, genuine way. What shifts us, what can shift us, and then I'm going to show you a really, really cool opportunity to practice this for the next 30 days. Okay. So, first off, what really bridges between the story that I just told you and the highs and lows? Well, let me tell you. For the most of my life, my highs and lows fluctuated much, 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 influenced by my sleep. If I didn't sleep 10 hours, I would be tired, exhausted, grumpy, stressed. I would have lots of pain in my neck and shoulders and head if I didn't sleep well or didn't sleep long enough. And so because the rest of my body was so worked up and so struggling already, sleep was the thing that just would tip me over the edge into stress, into really, really high stress, or would keep me kind of at the minimum of I'm okay, I can function. And I went through this for several years of my life where I struggled a lot. I was in the highs and lows. The highs were I'm on top of the world. This is amazing. My life is amazing. And the lows were, I'm so stressed and frustrated and struggling and not inspired. And I don't feel like I have space for anything else. And yet I'm not creating the results that I wanted to create. And I'm frustrated. Can you hear my frustration? Okay. Many of you know those two places very well. In fact, you may be very comfortable in both of those places, not because you necessarily want to be in those places, but more so because you've been there for so long that there's this level of comfort because it's familiar, not because it's great, but because it's familiar. So sometimes things are comfortable for us because we're so used to them. I lived in chronic pain for 6 years out of the 25 years of my life. And truly, I got comfortable being in the highs and lows, saying yes to things that would put me over the edge and saying no to things that would actually keep me really leveled, maintained, my nervous system grounded, my stress levels reduced, my sleep high, my nutrition well, my hydration high. I'm going to take a sip of water right now. Like, I'll tell you, it's my tin is my cup is ringing. Okay. Let me take a sip of water and then come back. Truly, like, I would do all the things that would give me the like ego boost, but then I wouldn't say yes to or create the space for the things that would actually nourish my body in a way that when I showed up, I wasn't in this high, low, high, low, high, low drama club vibe. I was in a grounded place where I could actually contribute from a genuine place, from a place that wasn't about me, from a place that was genuinely about the people around me. And I'll tell you, like, in my early adulthood years, I spent a lot of time giving from a very, very, very empty cup. And what I've gotten to learn so much as I read the Bible and study what it says, what I learn is that those places that I gave from were about me. They weren't actually about giving to the other person. Because if I really wanted to contribute to the other person, I would have made sure that I had set myself up to be someone who could give. If it was really about the other people, then I would have made sure that I'd put my oxygen mask on before I put theirs on so that we both would survive, right? Like, truly, I watched so many people around me model this idea of giving and generosity from a place. I don't think it was always intentional, but like from a place that was about scarcity and lack, that was from a place that like they were sacrificing their own health. And I followed into that path very quickly because I saw how much validation and acknowledgement I got when I showed up and gave. But it wasn't from a genuine place. It was from a place of I need that validation because otherwise I don't feel good about myself. And that is a shallow place to live. If you're constantly needing to give and give and give, and you're so in the highs and lows, that's what's comfortable because you're having the high of like, I'm validated for this thing that I do. And now I'm in the low of like, I'm literally so exhausted, I can't move. You're going to be in a very shallow relationship with life, with your higher purpose, with what God is actually asking you to do because it's all about you and it's all about people liking you and being seen and validated and belonging. And I say this word very intentionally. Belonging is such a fascinating thing. Truly, in my life, if I look back at the last 25 years that I have been alive, the two things that have been most important to me have been being in spaces where I belong, where like I feel like I belong. We'll dive into that. And then feeling purposeful. And I went and chased a lot of places and spaces where I thought that I would find purpose. A lot of places where I felt like I would belong. A lot of times we feel like we belong when we're validated and acknowledged for what we do. And the problem with that, it's not wrong to acknowledge people for what they do. It's actually a beautiful thing. But when it's about I need this thing to feel worthy or purposeful, that's when we start getting into this really unhealthy relationship with the activities that we're doing and the things that we're committing to, the things we're saying yes to, the things we're saying no to, the way that we exclude ourselves from people that can really refine us. And ultimately, it all comes down to really, it's all about me. It's all about me. It's all about me. This has been a really convicting place for me in the last several years because I spent a lot of time being in rooms that validated me for being myself. And while I truly believe that like trying to be somebody else for the sake of validation is not great, I also believe that trying to be yourself for the sake of yourself is also something that can be very, very unfulfilling and surface level. I'll tell you, honestly, a lot of my coaches have gotten frustrated with me because they can't believe that this is actually a desire of my heart that isn't about like ego or whatever. But like, honestly, I feel the most lit up when I'm serving. I feel the most lit up when I'm giving. And so it's a really important thing for me to learn how to set my body, my mind, my heart up in a way that I fill it with things that are good and that matter, and that I let go of the stuff, the doubt, the shame, the fear that will hold me back from God doing what he wants to do with me. So, how does this relate to you? Well, honestly, I won't know until you let me know. I share from my own stories. I share from a place of, you know, authenticity in the places and spaces that I'm in. I share from a place of, let me share what I've learned and what I'm modeling myself because I'm a student of it. And what you learn and gain from that, like, please, yay. It's like so exciting to me. For you, it may look a lot of different ways. Maybe you're a caregiver, maybe you're a mom, maybe you are in that position in your family and in your life where you're in a season of contributing and contributing and contributing, and it feels like a struggle and a pull to create the space for you to truly take care of yourself too. Like it becomes an afterthought where you wake up in the morning and you're just like hitting the ground running because honestly, it's just you feel so exhausted and you feel like there's not space for you to take care of you. And my perspective when it comes to what the buzzword is around town, which is self-care, is that I get to take care of myself. But I take care of myself because I know that the best version of me that shows up in the world is the one that feels good in her body, that she's stretched her body in a way that like keeps it healthy, she's exercised, she's moved, she's given herself good food, she's hydrated, she's socially engaged, her mind is filled with good things. Her mind is filled with truth and what it is that she believes in. And I know that that's actually the version of me that contributes and creates the purpose that I'm looking for. That's the version of me that is actually ready and willing for God to be used. And so I want you to think about it kind of like this. Think about a tool that you use often. Maybe it's a knife in the kitchen. Maybe it is a microwave. Maybe it is your oven or your dishwasher. I don't know why I'm thinking kitchen stuff. But if it's something in the kitchen or something somewhere else in the house, think about it like when it's not maintained, how effective is it for you to use? You know, when the knife gets dull, it's harder and harder and harder to cut through things. But when you sharpen it, when you maintain it, when you sharpen it, when you get maintenance on that microwave, on that refrigerator, on that oven, on that dishwasher, then things start to move in a way that creates ease and flow, in a way that actually sets you up to be able to use it in an effective way. And that is how we get to look at our own bodies, our mental, emotional, physical, spiritual states. I talk a lot about mental and emotional and how that deeply impacts the physical. I at least in the past, have not talked a lot about the spiritual because I don't necessarily treat it as something that is so about my own like self maintenance of it. It's more about like, for me at least, it's more about being in the word, like filling my mind with things that are true and that are sound and aligned with the places that I get my own guidance from that may look different for you. I always get to be really cautious of my level of control or my need to control what that looks like because I want to be ready and willing to be used in the way that God wants me to be used. But I know that, like, and I know for you as well, like, God really can't use you if you're so, let me rephrase that. I don't want to say that. Mm. Actually, I don't wanna I'm gonna say it, and then I'm going to detract what I said, but I wanna say it for a beautiful reason. There are seasons in your life where you may feel like you're not usable for God because you're exhausted or you have chronic pain or you're struggling or you've got some type of medical issues that keeps you at home isolated and you feel really useless. And it's amazing because sometimes God can use you in those times, in those places, in a way that is so profound. I know that He has for me as well. And some of the people that I look up to so respectfully and lovingly are in that boat as well, where like they've been the most inspiring to me in the times where they've been in their lowest. So the highs, the lows, and everything in between can be absolutely used in a way that is really inspiring. But it's up to you. It's your responsibility to take care of the body that God has given you. It's up to you to take care of this body, this physical, emotional, and mental states in a way that actually is responsible. I think sometimes as Christians, we like throw out responsible because it's sort of like, well, God's in control and I'm just going to follow what He does, which means I'm just passive about my life. And honestly, I have struggled so much with the two. Like, how does it look to be a control freak? And how does it look to be passive about life? Those are the two contrasts. But what I want you to know is that whether you're in the high or the low, you can always learn from them and God can always use them. And they're always communication. It's always communication, y'all. Like the times in my life that I have been in the most pain physically, my body was trying to tell me things that I wasn't willing to listen to yet. My body was trying to say, stop trying to prove yourself. Stop trying to push and force and make stuff happen. Stop trying to, puff up your own ego. Because so much of my pushing and shoving and trying to make stuff happen was from a place of I need to be good enough and I need to be good enough by my own actions and my own choices. And the truth is that is a hopeless journey. That is a purposeless journey. That is when we are the most useless, when we're in this state of trying to prove ourselves and trying to be liked and trying to be validated by other people outside of us. So pause and allow yourself to notice why you do what you do. This is the most important question we could ever ask of any activity that we're doing. Why did we say yes? What was the why? Why did we say no? What was the why? Why did we choose that thing? When you start pausing and being a little, paranoid about why it is that you're choosing what you're choosing, you start to see patterns of ego or patterns of needing to be good enough, patterns of, insecurity or a lack of willingness to let God use your weaknesses and use your what may feel like your uselessness. It's an opportunity for you to actually let the highs and lows show you where you are making your choices from. And this is a beautiful reason why this podcast is called Fireflies and Me. Because when I think about fireflies, my whole childhood, fireflies were this insect that would flash and then disappear, flash and disappear. But if you studied how they were moving and where they're moving and then how the lights were moving, you could actually anticipate the next step. You could actually anticipate where you were going. You could actually anticipate where the firefly would go so that you could catch it and put it in a bottle. But make sure to let it go before you go to bed because it gets to breathe and gets to have oxygen and all of the things. It doesn't get to die in a jar. Fireflies leave messages behind. They leave flashes of light that tell you where they've been. And like you can actually guarantee that they will send another flash on the way to and through their journey. Fireflies leave messages, and your body's leaving messages. Your mind is leaving messages. If you give yourself the opportunity and the gift of pausing and noticing and asking yourself, why did I say yes? Why did I say no? Why did I choose this? Why did I do this? What is this habit really about? You start to see patterns that maybe you hadn't seen before. And this is why habit building practices, ways of starting your day and ending your day are so incredibly valuable to me because it's those checkpoints, it's those flashes of light that support me in noticing where I've been and where I'm going. And it's that beautiful moment to pause and notice and choose. So you're always flashing. Like, you can always have that opportunity to look back and notice where you've been, to notice where you are, and to notice where you're headed based on where you've been and where you are right now. There are always those messages. And so this is the opportunity to notice our highs and lows and everything in between, and to actually learn something really powerful from them. To know that we don't have to be on this path of exhaustion and pushing, forcing, trying to make stuff happen. We don't need to be on this path of passiveness. We don't need to be on this path of like uber control freakish either. There's actually this beautiful in between of taking action and having the confidence that God will lead you where he wants to lead you, but also knowing that you don't have to hold on, that you can let go, that you can surrender in a way that actually is so peaceful and produces so much confidence that doesn't go away. And that is why I have been leaning in very much with this beautiful symbolism of fireflies, and leaning in with the women in my community in a way that I want to invite you into if you so choose. I am offering and facilitating and creating a 30-day experience, daily trainings for 30 days that will map out the way that we get to actually create those morning routines and those habits that support us in a playful, fun, but also systematic way that really supports us in figuring out what is working and what isn't working, like in a strategic way, not in a like, I used an example in a social media post and it was really fun. It's like, oftentimes we try something because it worked for somebody else. And then we like frantically shift because that didn't work. And so then we change it all up. And then we actually really didn't know if any of the past things worked because we changed everything all at once. And isn't that so humans? Like, we were like, it doesn't work. And then we quit. And then we try something else. And then that doesn't work. And then we quit. And so I am literally training you on a library of possibilities, on a library of activities, and grounding you into a place of, why do you want what you want? Why is the exhaustion, overwhelm, frustration happening? Like, we're actually going to do like an audit of sorts on the first couple days, just for you to get into this place of being aware and present to what is going on, and then choosing habits, choosing routines that really support you in getting the most sleep that you can possibly get, feeling rested, eating good food, drinking lots of water, and hydrating yourself in really strategic, intentional ways, and really coming from this place that is inspired and creative and lit up. Like being like me last night, like where you could stay up at 11 p.m. and still wake up the next morning at 7 and be like, I'm alive and awake and I feel good. Like that you actually can give your body that, like your body actually has that much grace that it can adjust in a way that is really, really exciting, in a way that is supporting you and living life and being a human and having the flexibility and autonomy to be able to shift and choose and adjust. So it's that opportunity for you to like really lean in a way that is inspiring to you, and that actually you learn from the highs and lows in a way that is supportive and like trackable, I guess is what I'm saying. Oh, goodness. So, if this is something that is interesting to you and you would like to join this 30-day opportunity, by the way, it's totally free. You get 7 days in my community along with this 30-day experience, and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be absolutely amazing. So if you want to join in on this experience, you can join with the link below that is going to be there after this live completes. Can't believe I didn't send it earlier, but oh well. And I would love to have you there. It's going to be an amazing experience. Where do I want to land? Let's see. I just want you to take this moment to like ask yourself, why? Why do I choose what I choose? What is most important to me? And if what's most important to you is something that is a come from that may not be what you want it to be, or you get to get honest with yourself in a way that's uncomfortable, that's a beautiful opportunity. Take it on. Lean in. Lean in a way that you haven't before. And I think that's where I'll end it. I'm excited for each of you who are leaning in a way that you've never before and taking the steps towards taking care of your body, taking care of your mind, taking care of your emotions, taking care of what you are filling your mind with, being in integrity, being responsible, and coming from a place of joy and inspiration and creativity, because that is a place to live. That is a place that I enjoy very, very deeply to live. So I love you all. Happy Tuesday, and I'll see you on the next one.